YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back, reacting to more of NFL Network's top 100 players lists, and we also compare their ranks to my ranks that were based off last season. We did a live stream right when the season ended with my top 100 players, so it's pretty cool to compare where they have them ranked and where I do. So last episode, we actually had a match. Mike Evans was the same rank on NFL Network's list as my list, so pretty crazy. Let's see if it happens again. And again, we're going to go through all the rankings, so as they come out, we'll release these videos. Subscriber goals at 40K. Please help us get there by clicking that subscribe button. It'd be much appreciated. We do have daily sports videos, plenty more to come, plenty predictions, rankings, some fantasy videos, and then in season, we got recaps, power rankings, predictions, score predictions, all kinds of fun stuff. So please subscribe. Please click that like button. Check out our Twitter there on the top right. Also a link in the description. Number 50 on NFL Network's list was Baker Mayfield. I did not have him ranked, and I talk about this in every episode. It's tough to just pull out 100 guys. You wish you could rank more. And a guy like Baker Mayfield with a great season, great rookie season. And I always talk about how I think teams ruin rookie quarterbacks when they throw them into a bad situation. 99% of the time the rookies are set up to fail, and they do fail. But somehow, in a bad situation, which has been a bad situation for years, but a bad situation in terms of the season, Baker Mayfield comes in, tears it up, and turns around the season, really the franchise almost. So that is just beyond impressive. But he didn't make the list. If he would have played the full season, easily would have expected him to be on the list. But it's not really his own fault or anything. But I want full seasons from guys, full, complete, great seasons, and that's really the difference from guys that didn't make the list. Number 49 was another Brown. It was Myles Garrett, so pretty darn close here, 3 spots away. They had him at 49, I had him at 52. There's really not much to talk about there. I'd agree with it. It's tough ranking different, players from different positions and spots, how to split up who was better. So we're basically in the same boat there, and I expect him to keep climbing the list too. He can, very early in his career, be maybe the best pass rusher in football. We'll see. That's a tough task because there's some really good ones. Number 48 was Melvin Ingram. I had all the way up at 15. Melvin Ingram he's got to be one of my favorite players in the NFL that's not on my team, just because how much he does for that team. If you're a person that just looks at the box score, looks at the stats, you probably don't think Melvin Ingram belongs maybe even up at 48, but he does so much for that team. He plays pretty much every position out there too. He plays a DN, he plays an outside linebacker, he slide in the inside linebacker here and there. He can slide in on the defensive line here and there too. He's super instinctive, knows the play before it's happening. That's a rare talent there. Not too many guys have that have those instincts in the NFL on the defensive side. So he's super impressive. I think it's a guy, if you take away from the Chargers team, it's not bad, but it's a lot under where it has been. He's such an important piece to that team, to that defense. Even that playoff game against the Ravens, if you go look at the box score, you don't really see much for him, but he dominated that game, absolutely dominated that game. He was a huge impact, and I guess he's almost a game plan nightmare for offenses, which you don't really say or see a lot for defensive players. So he's super impressive to me. I don't think he gets enough love. 48 is way too low. Number 47 was JUJU SMITH-SCHUSTER, and there we go, another real close one, 3 spots away. So I had him 3 spots better there, 44. They had 47, and just an outstanding season. And he can keep climbing too, because he's that number 1 guy for the Steelers now, and he's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, ready to prove something, I guess. He doesn't really need to prove something to the Steelers fan base, but I guess doubters or Antonio Brown to show that he can be that number 1 guy, and then he won't make a crucial mistake again, which I think was just kind of fluky, just came at the wrong time. So Juju's at 44, 47 for them, pretty much the same thing. 46 is Patrick Peterson, pretty close here again. I got him 12 spots better at 34. Lockdown corner, and people feared him. Those are corners that I like the most. If a quarterback, an offense, or an offensive game planner, coaching, whoever the coach is, head coach, offense coordinator, if they just in their game plan just say, we got to try not to throw on this guy's side. He's doing something really good, and that's Patrick Peterson. That's not any breaking news or anything. I guess everyone already knew that about Patrick Peterson. So that's why I had him up at 34. Unfortunately, for this upcoming season, I don't know he'll feel. It's going to be tough for him to be on my list in general because there's more than 100 really good guys deserving, and he's going to miss some games. So that's going to be tough. Unfortunate for the upcoming season, but based off last year, yeah, I had him a little better there. Well deserving of a top 50 player easily. 45 was DeMarcus Lawrence, and I had him at 36. So it's actually, I kind of get here and there. People will tell me that I'm too low on DeMarcus Lawrence, even though I think highly of him. Obviously, I got 30. It's 36. I think people usually give it to me that, maybe I'm a little low on him, but my ranking's actually a little better than the NFL Network ranking. He actually went down from last year 34, this year 45. So that's interesting. I liked him in that 36 range. There'll be some games here and there where maybe he's not, I don't know how to describe it, I guess. I guess he'll have his big games and then he'll have his, I don't want to say down games because he's always an impact. He's always getting past deflections at the line. Very good at reading the quarterback too. I guess he's not a full season. He's not like Khalil Mack. I know Khalil Mack's more of an outside linebacker, but not going to wow every single week. But he's still a dominant pass rusher. So I was a little surprised that I was a little higher than NFL Network, but nothing crazy here. Number 44 was Ben Roethlisberger. I did not rank. Another example of, me not going quarterback crazy in my rankings, and then NFL Network and pretty much everyone else overvaluing the position to me, in my opinion, really. I don't give bonus points to quarterbacks. Basically, the bottom line. I don't give bonus points because they play. Yeah, it's the most important position in football. When ranking 100 players, I'm kind of making it even. But Roethlisberger, airs it out. For him to throw the ball that many times a game at his age and still to play at a high level is just beyond impressive. But the reason he didn't make my list, again, didn't go quarterback crazy, just wanted to get the top ones. But mainly, I do think he can take games away. He can go out and win a game by himself, but he can go out and lose a game by himself. And that happened, I think, last year. Specifically the Broncos game was pretty rough. But he'll have his multi-turnover games too, and that's just kind of hurts him a little bit. But he does throw the ball an insane amount of times a game. He just didn't quite make the list for me for those reasons. So, but I'm not surprised, obviously, at 44. Well-respected guy. The players voting, so, and he's a future Hall of Famer, so nothing surprising there. But if it's up to me, I got him at the bottom end or not ranked. 43 was Bakhtiari of the Packers, kind of known as maybe the best offensive lineman in football, and I did not rank him, and people rip me every week for not having a certain guy ranked, probably Big Ben and David Bakhtiari, probably going to get it, but what people got to realize here is it's just based off 1 year, number one, and even if they had a good season but they have a big name, it doesn't guarantee them a spot. I think people kind of look, it's almost like what happens with Pro Bowl voting. I think they just expect because they have a big name and most people know him in general as maybe the best tackle in football, that he has to be in there because he did have a good season. But I got to split hairs when it comes to 100, just ranking 100 players. There was times to me last year, I thought he was much better the year before or the last few years, couple years before. There was times where he would either hold down the defensive line for an entire game, but then there was times where he instantly let pressure in. Rodgers had to roll out to the right and just whip the ball out of bounds almost instantly. It actually came up to me quite a few times when watching games last year. So he didn't quite make the list, but in general, yeah, easily, he's probably even better than 43, but based off last year, that's why I didn't have him ranked. Definitely a close one. Though. At 42, Christian McCaffrey, and I had at 24. So they got 42, I got 24. So, yeah, I obviously had him a little better ranked there. I thought he really carried this team a lot of times. The defense wasn't really there for the Panthers all year, really. They had their moments here and there, but and then Cam Newton was great the first half of the season. Then, the injuries showed up, and you can see he was hurt, and he wasn't playing good. That's kind of being generous the second half of the season. And they didn't have the offensive line to protect him really at the same time. And they didn't really have the receivers and a DJ Moore solid rookie season, I suppose. Tight ends beat up once again, Greg Olsen. But so it was pretty much Christian McCaffrey carrying his team. And it really showed a lot too. It was just McCaffrey going against the other team. It felt like that a lot of the times. And that's why he came in at 24, just a dominant dominant player last year, and I expect him to continue to climb that. So I was surprised he was only down, not a huge difference, maybe a little bit, but I was still surprised that he was down at 42. 41 was Cameron Jordan. I had at 55, so not a huge difference there. Yeah, just how you value the position. Well, I guess people value the pass rushers a lot. I just think there was, I don't want to say quite a few. There was a good amount of pass rushers I thought that definitely had the better season. But I liked him at 55 there. 41, really don't have a problem. I'm definitely not surprised by it. Number 40 was Zach Ertz, who I had at 31. Another one of those players that just really, really dominated for their team. You know, he just took over games. And, I mean, he's just more than a receiving threat, too. I mean, he can take over games in different ways. So I had him at 31, but, again, not a huge difference. Nothing surprising here. Number 39 was AKIEM Hicks, and I had all the way up at 6. Again, another example where I just never can tell if NFL Network's basing this off right now in general or last year. They always mention things like it's just based off the past season. But mine is based off the past season, and I thought he had an elite season. I thought he was absolutely dominant. I thought he was actually, you know, everyone says Khalil Mack, and Khalil Mack is the best player on the Bears defense, but who was the best player on the Bears defense last year? It was AKIEM Hicks. I don't think there's really a question about that. So them having at 39, you know, another one that's really not surprising, but really should be higher, especially if it's based off last year. I mean, elite run stopper, and that's what his job is. And then he got consistent pressure on the quarterback too. I don't know how many times somebody tried to run up middle, and I've seen him just clothesline somebody. I just think maybe a record amount of times. So he really stood out to me. What he was able to do and get that interior pressure at the same time is just a big-time bonus. So he was all the way up 6 for me. I think he should be a much higher than 39 there. 38 was Keenan Allen. I did have way down at 98. So a big difference there. To me, Keenan Allen's a guy, if healthy, he's always going to be on this list, and that's what makes him so great. Like, if healthy, he's always going to be on this list. He's always going to be consistent. He's always going to be catching the ball. He's going to be an impact. Great receiver. Great career. Still more to come. It's just based off 1 year, you know, based off the 1 year every year. I don't see him being as high as 38 or higher. You know, I think even though he's a top receiver, a really good receiver, there's still a good amount of receivers I think are better than them, and even though better than him, and even though maybe some of those guys will have a year where they're not on this list, but when they are on this list, they're super high. I mean, you can say Keenan Allen's better because he's more consistent, but on just a ranking of a single year, I kind of had him towards the bottom, you know. Still makes the 100, which is tough to do. Obviously, you're a very good player if you make it. Very consistent receiver if healthy. And more than that, he's a very good receiver. It's just, again, I didn't go receiver crazy either, if you remember on that list. So I only went with the top ones. And, you know, I just think 38 is just a little much. You know, I think up here is the guys that really wow you, really you're just stunned by their excellence. And, you know, Keenan Allen's close to that, but nothing I'm really stunned about. So I think they're a little high on him, but very respectable guy. So it kind of makes sense, I guess, that players voted for him. 37 was Jamal Adams. I had down at 72. You know, I like Jamal Adams a lot. He's my number one player on my board the year he came out. He's going to keep on climbing. He's more of a lockdown safety that can do a bunch of different things, you know, and that's why he's going to keep on climbing. But didn't really wow me enough for me to put him up closer to 37, but he's on his way up there. I just thought there was overall better impact players. That's why he's down at 72. But I'm not trying to knock him because I love his game, love where he's going. And again, I wanted to put more than 100 players on my top 100 list. There's just that many good players, especially defensive players. So 72 is really showing that he is a very good player. Chris Jones at 36, very, very close. I had at 33. You know, I talk about him and D Ford really carried this defense. You know, if you take one of those guys away, one of the worst defense in the league last year becomes the very worst defense, and maybe one of the worst defenses we've ever seen on really a good team, but maybe they wouldn't have been that good because they did bring some good pressure because of D Ford and Chris Jones. And then Chris Jones not really being a pass rusher makes this even more impressive, and him being young and be able to stop the run makes it super impressive as well. And he's on his way. We think he's on his way to keep climbing. The reason I say we think is because they are changing his position quite a bit, going to slide inside in a 4-3 now. So there will be somebody on the end of him. So we could see a little bit of a decrease. You know, don't be surprised if we see a decrease in sacks. Doesn't mean He won't be getting pressure, won't be a huge impact. I think he's still young enough and just good enough, has the talent to continue the success. So I have him at 33 there. They got him 36, pretty darn close. 35 is Davante Adams. I have it at 56. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to argue this one. I'm not surprised by the 35, even though there's a little bit of a gap between NFL Network and myself. It's just how you value the positions, how you want to split them up, who made more of an impact. I guess Davante Adams did really carry this receiver unit. So that I guess that's the case for having him higher. I wasn't crazy on the receiver, except for there was a couple receivers that I was just blown away by, so they were well into the top 10 of my rankings. So that's the reason they're up there. But again, even though it's a little bit of a gap, I'm just really not going to argue this one. I'm fine with the 35. 34 was Melvin Gordon. I had at 49. And he had just a great season. If he didn't get hurt and miss some games, he would have been, for me, he'd have been better than that 34. He'd have been better than what they had him at 34. But because he missed a couple of those games, that kind of slid him down a little bit. But still making the list, even though making the top 50, really, with missing a couple of games there. He was pretty dominant. Just always throw out how I love how he was able to learn how to catch the ball out of the backfield at a pretty solid level when that was like his huge negative coming out of college. So he's still getting better, and that's the crazy thing. We just gotta get him to get back in the practice there, get an extension, I suppose. We'll see what happens there. 33 was Adam Thielen. I had at 46, and not really gonna argue this one. I think another one, I could have had him higher than 33 if he kept going the route he was going. What he had that first 8 games, first half of the season, was ridiculous. Like, if he kept going at that pace, he would have been top 10, top 5, really. But then I think teams started to figure him out a little bit. I think, teams were starting to put their better corner on him and maybe showing some double teams, which is hard to play very good on the double teams. Because I think the first half of the year they were really worried about Diggs a little more. So he did slow down a little bit, but still an insane route runner, and great hands, just super impressive. So not really far off the 33 and 46. I still expect him somewhere in this range next year. 32 is Jared Goff. I didn't have him ranked. First half of the season was great. Some people considered MVP candidates, I should say, but then really dropped down then. The offensive line maybe wasn't playing as good as they were early in the season. Any kind of pressure, he was really struggling, really couldn't get anything going. There was some games where he turned the ball over a little bit, just really couldn't get anything going. So that's kind of what dropped him off. I almost seen like half a season. He did get to the Super Bowl, but it almost feels like I've seen just a little more than half of a season from him in terms of top 100 play. Just not quite enough for me to put him in there, but they got him at 32. A little surprising he's that high. And 31 was Derwin James. I had at 40. Nothing, no big difference there. Excellent rookie season. Another guy we expect to be up here. A little surprised by the order of the safeties, I guess, in this list, but nothing, I guess, too crazy. But yeah, again, I expect him to keep getting better. Another do-it-all safety. Just still can't believe the Chargers got him in that draft. He was a top 5 player for me, I think pretty much for everybody. So that's why it's super surprising they got him where they got him. Just insane. So that's going to do it from, 50 all the way down to 31. We're going to keep going through this after every couple episodes, keep making these videos. We got position rankings, predicting the upcoming season coming out still. We did a lot of those already. Plenty more to come, and then full coverage in season. So if you can join us for that, subscribe to the channel. Much appreciated. That's going to do it for this one, though. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Goodbye.